The Drama is a new romantic movie written and directed by Christopher Borgley, starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. We just watched it today. You were more intrigued than I was about it. You said from the get-go that the story itself was just very bizarre.
Yeah, I'd been hearing that it had like quite a unique spin on the romantic comedy.
Yeah.
As one would put it.
Yeah.
And also, I think Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, they're just two of like the best actors working today. So like whatever they do, I'm going to be there to watch.
Have you seen Dream Scenario?
I have not, no.
Christopher Borgley did
I've
as
heard
well.
about it.
Yeah, me neither. So this is kind of like, I'm not too familiar with Christopher Borgley. This is kind of like probably the first film I've seen of his, actually. So
yeah, same.
We'll give like a spoiler-free section about the story. I mean, it's a very difficult movie to talk about, I think, without actually spoiling it. But I mean, we'll just be vague, and then we can go into spoiler territory.
Because I really think the joy of going into this film is not knowing a single thing about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Definitely.
That's a reason why I try to avoid trailers as much as I can, because I feel like these days some of them just tell you the whole fucking story.
No, but I will say, shout out to the marketing department on this film.
Yeah,
the trailers
I remember
were pretty good.
The trailer for this one was a standout, actually.
Yeah.
To me. Yeah, because they do keep a lot of important information hidden
pretty well, I would say.
Just from the get-go. I really like how it kind of compacts a lot of story and building the characters, like their relationship, their dynamic, within like the first 10 minutes. So the way it kind of cuts back and forth between just dialogues in certain points in time that you don't even really know where they are, but it kind of works well to establish so much in that first 10 minutes, you know?
And that was one of my favourite things about this film. Well, actually, my favourite thing about it was the editing. I thought the editing was fantastic.
Same.
And this is a film that really employs the mantra of show, don't tell. It does that so perfectly. And I think the editing supported that really well. Never felt gimmicky. It just gave the film like just a really unique tone and identity.
Yeah, there are even unusual edit choices where maybe you felt like it wasn't even intended to be that way until they took it to the editing room and they thought that would be an interesting way of putting those two things together. Maybe even sometimes like Robert Pattinson says a line and then he repeats it, so that together it's like, did he just say it again, but he's saying it in a different take, but and then put together it's like it really works, but it kind of disorientates you a little bit. I completely agree. That's another thing. Or maybe it cuts off someone's line and then it jumps cut to some other point in time. I really enjoyed that. I thought it kept the flow of it really interesting and unique.
We learn so much about these characters from the way it's edited. Like, they don't need to say shit. I mean, like, they're great actors, like, as it is, like, in terms of like communicating with their eyes or like just one little like motion or movement. But the way it was edited, I was like, right, I get exactly how you're feeling without even like you needing to like say a word or like vocalize it.
Coming out of the movie, obviously just having seen it once, I definitely feel like it's the kind of movie that probably rewards you more the more you look at it, the more you kind of dig deeper into it, which is something I really appreciate about it. But just off the get-go, I never found myself fully on board with just the whole premise of like the romantic nature of this movie, which is kind of takes a back seat, and obviously the thing that we can't talk about takes center stage, and it really revolves around it. You know, it's like it's the kind of only inciting incident that happens, and it's just basically from a very simple.
I mean, how do you
10-minute dialogue scene?
How do you feel that nameless subject matter was handled?
I thought it was really, really fascinating, but I just don't. I couldn't really put those two things together.
Yeah, I think that is what will turn a lot of people off from this film, because it's a very touchy subject matter, and I think the film does it well and in a really fascinating way. Yeah. And like just linking it into human nature as well in the context of a relationship, it's a really fascinating vehicle to explore that subject matter. But it could absolutely put people off. Yeah, because it's a dark.
I don't think this should be classed as a romantic movie.
No, it's a black comedy. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I came out of this thinking was that this is like if Ari Aster or Michael Haneke directed the most nihilistic and miserable romantic comedy ever.
Which is funny because it was produced by Ari Aster.
I looked into that. Yes, Square Peg Productions, which is Ari Aster's production company. Which makes complete sense, because I was thinking, this film is very funny, but there's so much despair just in the world that they've created and in these like characters. Well, mostly the side characters. Yeah. I guess Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, they're quite empathetic, hopeful characters, but everyone else is like just really like terrible.
Oh my god,
which is like one of the things I enjoyed about it.
Yeah, the bride's
God, I mean,
Jesus
shout
Christ.
out to that was Alana Haim.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, she killed.
She's.
me.
I'm not. I don't mean to be rude, but she's just got that face for like a dislikable person.
Right.
As well. Like she plays it so
yeah.
well. And just that, oh my god, she's just a very irritating person.
My god!
But I can imagine, like, there's just the way she takes the moral high ground throughout every scene, and kind of just, especially in the wedding scene. Oh my god, like she's become such a
really
frustrating
wanted
person.
to like leap into the screen and just like.
However, I like how the film doesn't overly paint anyone in particular to be like an antagonist or someone you should hate. Like, it's definitely the kind of movie that gives that open space for you to draw your own conclusions 100%.
No, it's like characters are unlikable, but they're human at the same time.
Yeah.
You can actually understand why they're acting the way they are.
But the whole thing is just like a massive grey area.
Yeah.
Like the subject of this movie, it opens up a massive discussion. I think that's something I love about it, and I can see why Ari Aster loves it, because he loves those movies. But yeah, it's just a really odd choice to place it in this genre in particular. But I'm not saying it didn't work. It's kind of just very bizarre to me, and it just didn't feel like it. It's very Marmite.
Really either love it or hate it.
It's the kind of movie that I feel like people will, they'll see kind of like the poster, and they'll have no idea what they're in for, and a lot of people will come out thinking that was not what I expected at all. I think primarily this is like, it's designed to start a conversation about a philosophical debate. So going into spoiler territory, obviously, anyone who hasn't seen it and they want to watch it, click off now. We're going to read some reviews as well to kind of just, see what other people are thinking. Obviously, the subject matter of this movie is school shootings, and like we were saying, it's a very specific kind of subject matter that, like you said, is a very touchy subject matter, especially in America.
Yeah, I think it dealt with it in a very nuanced way, because this could easily feel like shock value and completely tasteless. But I think the way they dealt with it was very fascinating. Just the idea of like the love you have for your partner or for any person, can one little detail, one little thing, can it change that?
I like how it doesn't answer the question of how much you should judge, and I guess you never really know until you're put in that situation. But I found myself judging the other characters more than Zendaya's character.
That's what I find really fascinating. Like in the scene where it's brought up, and they are the inciting incident, as it were, and they're like saying, "Oh, tell me the worst thing you've ever done." Objectively, what Alana Haim's done, her husband Robert Pattinson, what they've done is so much worse.
Yeah, I thought I'd be the only one.
What did she do? She like locked like a disabled kid in the bathroom.
Yeah, and then she ran home.
Yeah, exactly. What they've done is so objectively worse.
Yeah,
but then it makes you question. But even if what they did was worse, it's the gravity of what Zendaya was planning to do.
Yeah, and then Robert Pattinson's character, like he cyberbullied a kid to the point where the kid actually moved houses, moved away, and the husband
used his girlfriend as a human
shield for like a dog attack. Yeah. These are actually
horrific things.
And they're things that actually happened. Yeah. Right. And then Emma's character is someone who is admitting something, but she never actually acted on it.
Yeah.
So, like you just said, like, how do you weigh up those two things? Maybe like you said, the gravity of like considering doing a fucking school shooting is way bigger than locking just an individual into a cupboard. But she never did it. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what I like about Robert Pattinson's character throughout the movie. He's like arguing back and forth with these people who, morally you can agree with them. They say, "Oh my God, that's horrid. That's terrible." The fact that your wife admitted to that. One of the characters, she says that she would call the police. Yeah, and she said the worst thing that she ever did was cheat on her husband, which I find really interesting. Is that 10 minutes later she's cheating?
Yeah, the irony of that was good.
Yeah. But I just find the whole debate fascinating, and I think a lot of the characters, speaking philosophically, I think a lot of the characters in the movie, that side characters, everyone who judges the situation. Not to say that Zendaya, when she Emma's character when she was younger, that was a horrid thing for anyone to consider. But like obviously she brought the gun to school, and then she was kind of she was stopped because some other shooting happened at that time period. So she kind of took a pause and considered her, what she was planning to do. And then she was tilted towards activism,
which I thought that was a really interesting choice.
Yeah.
It
was like the complete opposite of those things. And then she pursued that.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that series of events, who knows what she would have done? And I can imagine it being in a relationship with someone like that driving me crazy, But again, like, it's not to say that no other individual, like, everyone has dark thoughts. Everyone has a moment where they think of doing terrible things, and that's kind of opens up another conversation. It's like
about human nature.
Yeah, if only she had just not admitted that. Like, if only she had just not gotten drunk that night.
If only they hadn't gone out that night.
Yeah.
I think this is just a very unique film, in terms of how it tackles that subject matter. Like, I just left it with a lot of questions.
Yeah. When I came out, I was confused and conflicted how I felt about it. But the more I'm talking about it, the more I can kind of see how it's designed to really just get you thinking, And I think I like how it is almost disguised as something else.
Yeah.
And it can shock you the way when you sit down and you kind of actually really watch it. And you are someone who is interested in exploring these ideas, and thinks deeply about things. Maybe you will be caught off guard, and perhaps it is designed to be like that.
And that's kind of the genius of casting Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, because they're very marketable faces.
Yeah, exactly.
A24 and the studio, they know that this will get audiences in their seats.
Yeah.
And maybe if it was a different pair of actors, maybe no one would watch this film if they knew what it was about. But I just found that really fascinating. Kind of portraying it as this cute little romantic comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just fucking burst the door wide open, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. What did you think of the wedding scene as well?
Oh, I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Just the dread and it was this very big crescendo, and then obviously ending with I can't remember the character's name, but I think Haley Gates, that was the actress, and then her husband, punching Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic.
The ending didn't leave me feeling sweet. It left me thinking more questions, asking more questions in my head.
Yeah, where the fuck do you go from?
Yeah.
No, it's a bittersweet ending for sure.
Yeah.
It's not a sappy ending. It's not a happy ending. I don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's a very human film.
I always like those movies that kind of, they're based around such a simple idea that just some small, tiny little inciting incident can just spark this huge thing that happens throughout the movie. And the rest of the movie is just revolving around the ripple effects of just that one thing, one confession, one mistake, something like that. I really enjoy how it kind of sucks you in that way. But let's see what other people were thinking. This is from Josh Gen X. Gen X checking in. Perhaps I'm not the demographic for this. However, I had nothing left to watch, so I went for it. Very dark, twisted, and very funny. It kept my interest throughout. Laughed out loud a few times. It's funny, I actually didn't find it... I could see the humorous elements for it, but I was kind of, from the get-go, I was really considering the themes more than I was finding it laughably funny, if you know what I mean. That's
interesting. I thought the dialogue in this film was really fantastic.
Yeah,
and it was more I'd say if this is the right word, observational comedy rather than situational. Sorry, observational black comedy.
Yeah,
it was more in the delivery of the lines, I found. With certain characters, that's what made me laugh the most, especially with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
just very deadpan. Also, I think it helps that he's the only Brit there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just made everything he said sounds so
yeah.
sarcastic half the time.
Yeah. The ending knocks it from a 7 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10. I'm not sure what they were thinking there. It's definitely worth a watch, but it's not one I will ever watch twice.
Yeah, I think this guy just maybe craves resolution, possibly, and this is not the kind of film for that.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting such a... Because you could argue that it's quite a sweet resolution, the fact that they kind of want to reset it together.
Yeah, bittersweet, because, we don't know what happened after that point actually worked. But, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the sweetest.
Yeah, because you could kind of argue that maybe it's just going to happen again. Maybe the love was never real, because if you truly loved her and you're getting married, then surely you think that like till death do us part. Like no matter what, I'm gonna love you, and I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna second guess you. I'm not gonna fucking go so crazy that I'm gonna try and cheat on you, and then hesitate and do all this crazy stuff and care so much about what other people think. Because, you know what I mean?
A really great scene was when they're with the photographer.
And
she asked them to read their speeches out. I was like, Charlie, what do you love about Emma? What do you love about Charlie?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how up until that point, like before the inciting incident, he has her on such a pedestal. Like he thinks that she's this like morally pure person. She's so lovely. She's so wonderful. And then that goes out the water.
Yeah, and then he's just removing bits from the script.
No, that was a fantastic scene.
I also love how they're doing the photo shoot and the flash photography is replicating the sounds of like a gunshot. I don't know if you noticed that. I really like that. That, like you say, that's literally show don't tell filmmaking right there. 6 out of 10 again. A movie that will have divided audience. I was on the fence about watching this movie because the basic premise didn't sound like my kind of movie, but I'm a fan of Christopher Borgley, so I had faith that he would take it to a suitably twisted place. In my opinion, the inciting incident just didn't feel like a big enough deal to warrant the chaos it created. Yeah, I can kind of understand that. That's where this movie will likely divide people. I was hoping for something to elevate the circumstances or for someone to make the arguments I wanted to make. Yeah, I can see that. And in some ways, the movie did those things, but it ultimately felt like a big overreaction to me. I guess that's ultimately what drama is, though.
I can see where he's coming from, but at the same time, I think this film is just an exploration of human nature, really.
I could argue that that's kind of probably the point.
And like that's the thing, these characters, like even the ones who you really detest, like with the side characters, they're very relatable because let's say this did happen to you, or sorry, like this was brought up.
Yeah.
You could possibly react to like, you know, Charlie or Emma or like the maid of honor.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so fascinating. So I think, you know, and in like real life, certain things maybe are a bigger deal than we make them out to be.
Of course, yeah.
No, I think because this is a film,
he
thinks, oh yeah, there needs to be some bigger inciting incident, but I don't agree with that. I think this is showing what happens in life, and this probably would happen.
Yeah, I think that is the point of it as well. Is that some people blow it out of proportion, and I do disagree with how big people blow it out of proportion in this movie. But I didn't ever think that it was unrealistic the way people did that. I don't know her from much serious stuff, but I was hoping Zendaya might prove herself a great actress, but I don't really feel like she did. She wasn't bad or anything, but she frowned for about half of the movie.
She just frowned.
I think part of it is that she doesn't come across as a self-conscious person at all, and that was necessary to the character. Another part may have just been the contrast to performances like those from Alana Haim and Haley Gates, who I had never seen before, but was probably my favourite part of the movie. Pattinson,
the side characters were fantastic in this film. They really were.
Pattinson did well also, but again, the whole premise just never quite grabbed me. It ultimately reminded me of a less impactful version of the movie, Force Majeure.
Have you seen Force Majeure?
I would love to say I have, but no.
Well done, but not for everyone. 6 out of 10. No,
Yeah.
he makes some good points, this guy.
I go back and forth on what I think happens throughout the rest of their story in the relationship. I don't know that they end up just kind of...
If they end up together
and working out and being married and not caring and just moving past it.
Yeah.
Because I think he made huge mistakes from the get-go. Like, I think he I think it was good that he wanted to sit her down and have that conversation, but the very fact that he couldn't move past it and made it such a huge deal...
Yeah. No, what was interesting about him, and not to take away from the severity of what she was planning to do, but I felt he often took the moral high ground.
When they have that initial conversation, when they're drinking wine and stuff, those four people, initially Robert Pattinson's character, he kind of reacts like he laughs. He laughs.
Yeah,
it
he's
off.
like, "Oh, what? Surely not."
And I don't know if he laughs it off seriously because he actually thinks that she's just joking and she's not serious, or he actually just doesn't think it's a big deal. Like I go back and forth between
Interesting.
that. Or I think it's more to do with the fact that as soon as the bridesmaid, sorry, what's her name?
Alana Haim.
Alana Haim's character reacts in that way and suddenly blows it up and goes, are you fucking kidding me, Emma? Like, that's my fucking cousin got killed or something. He was disabled because of...
And then Robert Pattinson starts going, oh, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
How could you? What?
So he's starting to see how other people are reacting to it, and he's starting to overthink. So it's like the whole movie, he's more concerned, like he even sits down with his co-worker and asks her what she would think. He's more interested in what other people think rather than what he thinks of the situation.
Which kind of says a lot about his character.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I like about this film. It gives you so much without explaining it or explaining it at all.
Yeah. A razor-sharp black comedy. This is 7 out of 10 from Fabio. Black comedy is a slippery genre. One step and the whole thing face plants. The drama, directed by Christopher Borgley, stays on its feet with real elegance for most of its runtime, then fumbles at the last moment. Until then, it's a sharp, often genuinely funny send-up of couple dynamics and wedding rituals, anchored by solid work from Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. The film loves to mock what's usually treated as sacred, and it lands plenty of mean but well-earned laughs. Visually, it's slick too, the chilly northern European vibe. Despite being set in Cambridge, Massachusetts, gives it a polished, sophisticated edge.
Yep, I definitely agree with that. You can tell this film was directed by like a European/Scandinavian filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because often, they have a very dark sensibility.
Yeah.
And this film has a very like mean edge, but just in the right way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That style also makes you overlook a noticeable double standard in how the revelation is framed. And the revelation itself feels too big for what the film ultimately does with it. So much so that it could have been almost anything else and the story wouldn't change much.
What do you think about that?
Is this person saying the opposite to what the other person said? This person's saying it's too big for what the film does with it. And the other person said it was too...
I don't get that.
Yeah,
but I think
it could have been anything else.
Yeah, no, I don't. I disagree.
I think let me say I think it is an interesting choice to go for what it went for, which is school shooting. I think it's purposely edgy and really kind of people don't like to discuss it.
Yeah,
people don't like to talk about school shootings. It's a tough subject.
Yeah,
and I think that was intentionally chosen. Obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the set of circumstances are set up so intentionally so that it's such a grey area in what to discuss because it's like, did she kill someone? No. Did she do anything? No. But was the intention there? Yes. Did she bring the gun to the school? Yes. Like those things are such an interesting combination.
Yeah.
I think it is more like a Jenga thing where if you pulled that out, you can't just chop and change the set of circumstances.
Yeah, no, it's like an onion. There are layers.
There are layers, man.
There are layers, and you shouldn't take those layers away. No, but like 100%, and I think actually this subject matter threads perfectly into the context of a wedding, for God's sake. Because really, I mean, some people don't like to admit it. At the worst kind of wedding, it can be a very uncomfortable scenario. It's like, your worst fears may be realized just about commitment or about life. And I think the fact that they did this with a couple who were just about to get married was perfect because it makes you question so much. It's such a heightened setting, if that makes sense. So I think like that was perfect. I don't think it would have worked had you put it in any other like context. Like, let's say it was a birthday or like anything else.
I really like that. I really like that. This goes back to the editing. I really like that one shot where it's just kind of, it's like 5 seconds, but it's like in the wedding venue and like you see all the people in the dresses and the suits just like dead on the chairs and by the tables like shot with blood all over them. I just thought that was a really interesting like visual that just it's so subtle and overlooked. That I really like,
and the sound design as well, like that bit during the wedding scene where like that dumbass DJ drops a cable and you think, oh my god, is that a gunshot?
That scared the shit out of me in the cinema.
That was brilliantly done.
Yeah, and it was kind of almost designed to scare the shit out of you, like that moment because it was so quiet. But also, like, don't you find it interesting how kind of the way the bridesmaid character reacts and way a lot of the people react in this movie? And just the setting, the energy that's conjured up in that wedding, that final act, it's almost replicating kind of the bully mentality that comes from
of a school.
Of a school.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I didn't actually think about that, but that's very
Like,
it's very true.
It's funny how easily people take the moral high ground in this movie and claim they don't do anything wrong, when a lot of them in this movie make terrible mistakes as well. Like, really awful, like, judgments. Like, the bridesmaid character herself, like, she's supposed to be her fucking friend.
Yeah.
Immediately she's turned off to her because she finds out that information. But yeah, and she, you know, she gossips, she's whispering in people's ears and like turning people against her, kind of like a bully, right?
Yeah.
And what does that do? What does that incite someone to do? It's to like get angry and rebel against like the system, and that's ultimately what a lot of people, like school shooters, claim is the reasons for why they decided the world was against them and they took action, you know? And I think that's a massive, like, really uncomfortable fucking conversation that this movie starts. The biggest issue is the final scene. The moment the movie should fully commit, it hesitates. It's frustrating because the film is this close to making a sharp point about how love and relationships often tolerate lies and hypocrisy better than truth, especially when the truth slips out after one drink too many, yet it ultimately pulls its punch.
I'm struggling to understand what she means by that. Do you feel it pulled its punches in that regard? I think maybe they wanted the hypocrisy of Robert Pattinson's character pointed out, maybe? Possibly, but to me, that felt like the whole point of the film, what she's just described.
Yeah.
To where it lies in truth. And that's what the ending invites you to consider.
Yeah.
Does he truly love her, even knowing, you know, who she really is, rather than this idealized version of her?
Yeah.
You know, and like, would he like tolerate the lie? Like, that's literally the making. So I don't quite get what this person means by that.
Yeah. It forces you to kind of think differently. I would definitely agree with that. This movie, it forces you to kind of like all the kind of imperfections that you could consider in this story, and all the reasons, all the things that might not feel like they come together. I would say, ultimately, I mean, I'm sure this movie has got a lot of faults. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece or a 10 out of 10 or anything, but I think ultimately a lot of the questions that these people are complaining it's like not answered, I would say it's designed to not answer, and it's designed for you to answer. You know?
Absolutely.
But yeah, really good, really interesting movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad I watched it in the cinema, and I'd recommend it.